to Sway TV. I'm your host, JJ, here on Amazon Live, and I'm so excited!
We're gonna have some fun on the street, and we're doing Workout Wednesdays here on Amazon Live.
What do you like most about Sway TV?
To the community, it's fun. Like, all the hosts are really nice.
I can just feel, the positivity.
And she is fresh off the set of Shark Tank.
It's such an honor to be here today, so thank you.
We are gonna be talking all about parenting.
You have no idea how honored I am to have Mr. Tim Story making his world premiere right here on Sway TV Live.
Functional medicine is all this stuff. It's integrating things that improve your life.
It starts with being happy with how you look.
What is the key to a successful business?
We made history here on Amazon Live.
Is this Rosalinda?
I'm so nervous. I can't believe I'm talking to a celebrity.
Oh,
I feel like I met Jesus today.
Would you ask her out again, Michael?
I am so excited for today's Battle Shop Live.
Here we go. Get curious. Get curious.
Daisha says, I can watch Sway TV for hours because they are the best. Rosalinda just said, this is better than Netflix.
Oh, Naveen says this is better than Netflix. Yes! There's a Tesla. You can actually buy a car on Amazon. That is so crazy. The perfect gift.
Look at that! That's incredible!
Yes, we got our Drake's Cake break.
David is live streaming. We got it right up in the corner. I love this.
I am getting a complete body makeover right now.
Oh, that feels so good.
Oh my God, that is the coolest thing ever.
So awesome.
Shake, shake, shake.
Shake your Zulu.
This is fun. Drum roll, please. Dun, dun, dun. So many giveaways here at Sway TV. I'm ready to battle shop live. Yeah!
And one person's gonna win a PS5. Which one will it be?
Everyone is holding their breath.
I have our winner.
I'm so excited, I can't even stand it.
And Sam's in the chat says, Sway TV rocks. Woo!
We're still going. Yeah, we don't sleep at Sway.
One of the best comments I've ever received, ever, hands down. EK's gonna love me even more. Look.
I cannot make this up.
We are awarding you with the PS5 as well.
6, 5,
4, 3,
2, 1.
all the time streaming live. We're sharing great products. We're doing great interviews and amazing giveaways.
So grateful for you guys and for Sway TV.
Amazon, we love you, Amazon.
Talk to all your friends and your family. Let them know about Sway TV.
Thank you, Sway TV.
Amazon Live, woo!
I've had such a great time with all of you.
Shop attainment all the time. It is a girl's dream come true for someone like me to be able to give you dating advice and shopping all in one platform.
We in the house, we having fun, we doing the thing, we swaying. How did this show turn into like a full-on sing-along? This is fun! We love Sway TV!
Let's sway!
Let's sway!
Let's sway. Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway!
Let's sway!
Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway. Let's sway.
Let's sway!
Let's sway. Let's sway. Let's sway. Let's sway.
Let's go, let's sway, stay tuned! Woo! Hello, everybody. I am Lauren
Francesca, and I'm here with Jonathan Asley.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I'm so excited. I actually stalked him on YouTube. I was just watching his YouTube videos about relationships because I've been having some problems, and I was like, I need to get him on my show so I can get some more advice because he does coaching and stuff. But I was like, maybe I could just get him in real life. Like I can just invite him on and it works.
I know you filled out an application for coaching, but on the bottom you just go, I've just been stalking you and I want to promote you on my channel. So,
yeah.
So everything. So how exciting is that?
Well, I really loved, he came out with this amazing book about self-love, which actually you made on Amazon, which I was curious about because I have a book that I want to write. And I wanted to pick your brain about relationship issues, how to put a book on Amazon, you know, everything that is like expert-like we can talk about today because this is what Amazon is all about. And it's so cool to be back here in Los Angeles on this couch right now.
I know.
I'm so excited. I've been in New York for like a year and a half, so it's been cold and not sunny, and it's just so bright, and it's just like, yeah, you come into the studio and there's all celebrities everywhere and just products and like the girl before me had waffles.
And we're not wearing masks right now.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Well, I've been vaccinated, so
I'm on the list.
You're on the awesome, yeah. So I was really
but going back
excited.
to making Amazon books, it is really easy. So if you want to talk about that,
yeah,
we
I
can
do want to
definitely
talk about that. Self-love. How did you come up with this idea for the book?
Well, I've been a dating and relationship coach for over a decade now, and I've recognized that dating triggers the #1 emotional health issue most people face. I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not likable. In fact, we've almost adopted this belief that I need someone else to love me to feel good about myself.
Yeah.
And so most people enter into relationships with this expectation without filling up their own love cup. So that's what inspired me to write this book.
Now, I know a lot of times, sometimes I'll get into these relationships, or like one of my really good friends is just got out of a relationship, and it's like she has nothing. Like she's just like, her life was this other person.
Yes.
And that's like my biggest fear. Like, so how do you stop that?
One of the challenge with most people is they give their power away to another human being, and then they're so afraid of speaking their truth. In fact, the first chapter of my book is called Speak Your Truth, Do It With Kindness. Because most people, at least and by the way, I coach women, by the way. So my specialty is coaching women. I mostly coach midlife, which I say is after baby making years and before retirement. Although I'm now having a lot of 20 and 30-year-old women coming to me going, help, 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 Jonathan. But women oftentimes are so afraid to speak their truth in relationship because they're afraid the guy's going to run away. And it's actually through our truth that we can bond together in relationship.
Wow. That's, yeah. So what about the people who are coming out of relationships and need to work on the self-love? Like,
well, one thing I'm a big proponent, you know, I think we should all go through therapy. Because people don't recognize that we might have wounds that happen from our childhood and traumas that happen in our childhood that cause us to have negative patterns and limiting beliefs in our lives. And when we carry that forward in relationship, most people struggle in relationship because they're not working on their own stuff. So I'm a big proponent. Do therapy, do personal development, self-help, spiritual work, so you can be prepared to be in a good relationship.
That's awesome. Now, how do you know if you're in a bad relationship? Like, how do you know if it's not working?
You know what? There's a really simple way to know you're in a bad relationship. It doesn't feel good. If a relationship doesn't feel good, that's the clue that something's off. Now, someone could be going through a trauma in their life or something else where it's situational, but if you're not feeling good in a relationship, that's a good sign to start either working on the relationship or move on. And I don't mean it's all about fun feeling good. I'm saying if you feel uneasy, if you're feeling doubt, if you're feeling anxiety, those types of things, that's a clue to say, let's look inside and say, what can we fix in this relationship? But the problem with so many people is they're in casual relationships these days.
Yeah.
They're not in real committed relationships. So there's ambiguity in the relationship. And when there's ambiguity, that's going to create a tremendous amount of doubt. So let's differentiate between people that dated for a few weeks versus people in a couple years. That's what I'm differentiating.
Gotcha. Now, how do you go, like, LA is crazy because there's just so many opportunities. I know it's different. In New York, it's kind of similar.
Yeah.
But what is your advice for women trying to date, like when it's so competitive? With, there's a million dating apps.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Yes, we've literally have adopted this swipe culture. It's kind of like we have all this what's called perceived choice. So we think we have all these choices because we can swipe left or swipe right in most dating apps. But the reality is everybody's looking for the same thing. They want to connect with someone. They want companionship. They want sex, So knowing that going in, what's most important is knowing what you truly want and your standards. And a lot of people enter a relationship with such low standards. And then they get upset that the person isn't meeting their standard.
Oh, it's so hard.
And by the way, standards is also boundaries.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I want to kind of incorporate those two together.
Gotcha. Now, are we getting any questions from the audience right now?
Says, hey, Lauren. Hey, Jonathan. Thank you. Someone said, great guest. Thank you. No questions yet.
No questions yet. Just introducing everybody who's come and joined us now. We're here with relationship expert Jonathan Asley. For everyone who's tuning in on other platforms, please go to swaytv.com. We're going to have guests calling in soon, and they're going to ask you some relationship advice. Is that okay?
I'm excited.
Yeah. I know this is normally like what you get paid for, so I'm sorry for just springing this on you.
No, I love doing this. I do all this all the time on my own channel. So.
Now, how long have you had your YouTube channel for?
You know what? I started a year ago. Well, wow. I've been on it for 10 years, but I really didn't start it till a year ago. So I only had 1,000 subscribers, and now I'm almost at 30. So we got to get up to 100 and more.
Yeah. Now, what are some questions that you normally get from your viewers?
So one of the questions that relates to something you and I've talked about is about avoidant men, emotionally unavailable men, men who are emotionally immature. That tends to be the hot topic. Yeah. Why do men ghost? Why do men disappear?
Why don't they want to commit?
Well, because you know what we know. Well, so a 20 or 30-year-old, oftentimes if they want a relationship, they're on the hunt for a wife. Uh-huh. So they're looking for something different. In my age demographic, which I say is midlife, it's a whole different ballgame because people don't know what commitment and partnership looks like at midlife versus when you want to, buy a house, make babies, and raise a family. So if you don't know what you want, it makes it very difficult to know who's right for you. And women are clueless. By the way, men are ridiculously clueless, but women are equally as clueless. They say they know what they want, but it's all at the 40,000 foot level. It's at the fantasy level. And then they create these ridiculous expectations oftentimes. Or the opposite happens. They create such low boundaries for themselves that they are doormats in relationship.
Now, are there
because they lack self-love.
I've been reading a lot about these kind of things, and it says we're a mirror. Can you explain that? Like we're a mirror for who we attract?
Well, we attract what we need to heal. So oftentimes when we attract an avoidant personality, we might be an anxious, needy person. So what happens is we attract someone that triggers us constantly.
Why?
It's, how do I, we don't have enough hours in the day to talk about the why. It's often, what happens is it's imprinting that happens in childhood based on how we were raised by our parents or surrogate parents. So that's our first indoctrination to love, is our connection with our parents. So depending on how they raised us, and by the way, most people raise children unconsciously. They're not aware that their actions actually imprint on their children. Yeah. So this is one of the reasons why some women choose men who are like their fathers, who are emotionally, might have been, I'm going to say might, not always, emotionally unavailable or avoidant personalities, or someone might even attract someone like their mother who's domineering and controlling. Uh-huh. So what's happening is we seek what feels familiar to us from childhood. Uh-huh. That's the unconscious way of dating. Uh-huh. And I'm here to promote a more conscious, purposeful, intentional way to date by understanding all this stuff first.
Well, that's so what if you're dating somebody who's avoidant? What are your tips for that? Like, had you wait for them for a while? Like, do you think they'll change, or is it just like...
Well, avoidants want love too. What's most important is to talk to one another. People are dating so cavalierly. So let's just have a good time. It's all about having a good time. Let's just focus on a good time. No, I'm all about, let's focus on the nitty-gritty stuff and get into the real deep stuff of what's your fears, what's your insecurities, what keeps you up at night. and talk about these things, because when two people can bond at a real intimate level, they'll stay together. They can stay together for a lifetime. I didn't want to make it an absolute.
But you think there have been avoidant people who can kind of get out of that, or can they switch from avoidant to being more secure? Is that
we
possible?
certainly can move. We can move from the scale of avoidant to secure, and I'm going to use an up and down, anxious to secure. It's absolutely possible. And most people, when they've bonded with a partner, they begin to feel more secure in relationships. The problem is most people aren't talking about what's really bothering them in relationship and how to heal or fix it. And it's mostly, I just expect you to be perfect.
Yeah.
And if you're not perfect, I'm miserable.
So what about the guy who like starts ghosting? Because I know that's a big thing when you first start dating and you think everything's great and then he stops calling.
So there could be a couple things going on for that guy. There might be chaos going on in his life. He might be going through a divorce. He might go through a job change. He might having some physical things going on. Those are a couple reasons why some people pull away. Some people fear intimacy. So the minute you get close to someone, they pull away. They say, I'm just incapable of being this way. They give you the escape clause.
Yeah. No, the one I heard was like, oh, I'm scared you're going to swallow me whole. Like,
yeah,
what does that
that's.
mean?
Can I curse?
No.
Oh,
curse.
shoot.
we are.
I was going to say something about that.
We are family friendly here.
Okay. Well, that's just a baby, in my opinion. Someone who can't be in charge of his own actions and feelings and then making it on you. Because what he's saying is, oh, I'm just afraid I'm going to lose myself to you. Well, how about you take control of your own life, and I'll focus on me and you focus on you.
Well, I think that's what people are scared. I think that's what he's scared of. He's scared of being either too focused or not too focused. So I think that was.
So then talk about it. Do you want to be in relationship with me? Then let's talk about these things. Let's co-create something together instead of acting, ambivalent about it all.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion.
He said oh, you have to give me a deadline, and that just doesn't feel like sexy.
Okay, tomorrow.
That's what I said right now.
Okay,
I was
right
like,
now.
right now, give me this deadline. He's like, no, I need like
And
an
how did
actual
he-
time frame. He's like, otherwise, I was like, I have a deadline in
You
my
know what?
head.
Let's go to therapy together. No, I'm not you and I, but you say to him, let's go to therapy together. And because you know what? During therapy, you can actually see how genuine and sincere a person is based on when there's someone else in the room navigating the conversation.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if someone's afraid of therapy, and I'm really a big proponent of this.
But is it like, I don't know, how long, like, I feel like therapy is like.
How long have you been dating him?
Like 4 months. But he's not my boyfriend. He's not.
Okay.
We're not like.
Okay, you're not in a committed relationship.
Well, I mean, I'm not hooking up with anyone else.
Okay.
But.
All right. Well.
What?
You don't call yourself boyfriend and girlfriend, but I'm assuming you're intimate with each other.
Well, we don't talk about that on live stream.
Okay.
This is a family-friendly show.
Okay, family-friendly show. Well, I'm just saying, in relationship. Well, then you just exploring one another right now, and you'll see where it goes.
So how long do you wait for that exploring stage normally?
It takes a good year to get to know another human being.
A whole year?
It takes at least, well, okay, first off, it takes about 100 hours to get to know someone to really decide if you want to explore a relationship. It takes about 1 to 2 years in relationship to explore if you want to be in partnership with someone else. But you have to want to be in partnership. And if someone is afraid of being in partnership, do you want to invest in someone who doesn't know what they want? That's what I'm more focused on. Choosing people that know what they want.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Let's see if we've got any questions.
Do we have any questions?
Oh, yes, us women will be sucked in thinking we can change and move mountains with a significant other. Yes.
Yeah.
So there's this old saying, men marry women hoping they don't change, and women marry men hoping they do change. I mean, it's kind of and I think there's some truth to that.
That's horrible.
Well, then, you know what? Let's stop expecting someone to change, and we can also look to say, can I accept this person for who they are?
Uh-huh.
And do they meet what I'm looking for in a relationship? So let me give you an example.
Uh-huh.
I'll give you an example
Okay.
of what I'm looking for in a relationship. So I'd like to spend 3 or 4 days and nights a week together doing shared activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, being teamwork with each other, both in our professional and our personal lives, helping each other, and of course, intimacy that leads to marriage. So I'm very crystal clear. And I say this right up front. And I've noticed most people don't even know that piece when they're dating.
They don't know if they want it,
Yeah.
or they don't know if they want it with that person.
Well, they don't even know what it looks like. So I'll give you an example. I get a call from a woman who says, Jonathan, I'm in a relationship with a guy. It's 6 months, blah, 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 and I want more commitment. I go, great. What does that look like for you? But Jonathan, I just want more commitment from him. I'm like, great. What does that look like for you? But Jonathan, I want more commitment. She thinks if she says it louder, I will hear what she's saying. And I'm like, you have to describe what it looks like to know what to tell the other person what I want. And then you ask them what they want in a relationship. And as I said before, most people are clueless.
Now, do you recommend putting it on your dating profile, like, I'm looking for committed relationships? I feel like I get a lot of guys in LA, and they're just like, they're like wanting to hook up right away.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The word committed relationship oftentimes scares people.
Yeah.
Okay, because they think they're going to be swallowed whole, right?
Yes.
So I certainly say that I'm looking for something monogamous and exclusive, where we call each other, say, boyfriend and girlfriend. But it leads to some sort of level of partnership, because you're either, think about it, you're either dating to get, this is one way of looking at it, you're either dating to get married, or they're going to become somebody you used to know. I mean, think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's binary. It's going to be one or the other. I mean, you could be still friends with someone, but most likely, if you don't go the distance, they're going to be somebody you used to know.
Yeah, and what do you do with a guy who's like friends with all his exes? Like, they're still in his life, or like they have like all these like sparks.
So someone who is friends with an ex, I'm okay with that from the perspective of maybe you've been together for a long time, and you've now transitioned to what I call family, to treating each other that way. I'm okay with that. If people are friends from an intimate perspective, they share a lot of their intimate life with a former partner, it makes it difficult to transition and hold that space for a new partner. And you really don't want to be sharing intimate things with a new partner with an old partner. So, find a therapist for that intimate conversation.
Yeah, that's
or a
thing.
Friend or someone else.
Yeah, he was like talking to his exes about me, and I didn't like that. Like,
no, well, the thing is, if it's something personal and intimate to you, I don't think it's appropriate to talk to an ex-partner and share that intimacy. And by the way, you can get sucked into emotional connection with a former ex that can always be swaying you back.
Oh, so what do you mean?
They try to pull you back from an intimate perspective and think that they might get you back temporarily. So it's important to set healthy boundaries if you're going to be friends with an ex.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's definitely so what are some boundaries that like you, I guess, either tell your clients to set or you set yourself when you're, dating someone?
Well, again, knowing your standards. So I've just established, like I shared what my standard is in relationship. And if someone isn't meeting that standard, then so a couple boundaries. Let me rewind that. Couple boundaries. Do your actions match your words? I think that's a really important boundary for most people. In other words, are you consistent with your actions, compared to your words? And to me, when someone habitually breaks their word, then they're out of integrity. And to me, that's breaking my boundary of integrity. I'm really not happy with people who are in victim consciousness, versus victor consciousness. I mean, here people are just so prefer to point the finger at someone else. In fact, one of the little things you can check out when you're talking to someone let's say you're dating someone and they share their past relationship. If they're pointing the finger at every past relationship saying it's their fault, they've taken no ownership in their part in the relationship. And to me, that's another boundary, because people that take ownership in their life are more emotionally mature. And that's just a couple examples.
That's interesting. That's super, super interesting. So let's go back to some self-love, because I feel like that's all part of this. And so we have speak your truth, do it with kindness.
Yes.
Stop complaining. Your human mistakes happen.
Let's do the stop complaining for a second.
Okay.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about
Well,
that.
I want to say, so in my book, there's a chapter called Stop Complaining. There's and this goes back to the victim consciousness. So people who complain are often come from a place of, I've been hurt. Okay. Now, in my book, I talk about venting versus complaining. There's a big difference. Venting says, I have this stuff that needs to come out. Can I just vomit it and vent it with the intent of I want to heal this. I want to move on from it. Most people complain because they just want to get validation for their bad choices.
What if you're complaining about how you're feeling about if a need's not met in the relationship or somebody hasn't respected your boundary?
So, okay, complaining versus making a request. So, I have a need in this relationship. I'd like to speak to you before we go to bed every night, as an example. It's a need. Now, if you complain about it, it's certainly going to trigger the other person because nobody really appreciates complaining. What you want to do is say, hey, you know what? I would feel really good if every night before we, go to bed, we just touch base with each other on those nights that we're not together. You make a request. It's a bid for love. The other person can then say, you know what? I can do it 5 nights a week, but I can't do it on Saturday and Sundays for whatever reason. I'm making this up, by the way, everyone. But the point is, it's a request. It's not a complaint. And you're saying, I would feel really good if we did this.
Okay, let's just go right into this whole book.
I'll give you another chapter from there. So there's another chapter called, If It's Sincere and From the Heart, You Can Never Say the Wrong Thing to the Right Person. So why I wrote this chapter, and again, since I typically coach women, I said most women stuff their feelings. They don't express themselves because they're afraid they're going to lose the guy. And I'm here to say, if you speak from your heart and it's sincere, you can't lose the right person. That's just another chapter.
Gotcha. So people say if it's meant to be, it'll be. Is that, you really feel that? Or do you think, I feel like some women though, they're just they get so focused and so insane that they just act like crazy people. I have some friends, I'm like, what are you doing?
That's typically attachment style. So we oftentimes think we're in love when we're just attached to another human being. And so then we act all crazy because we're not coming at it from a mature self-loving place. And so what's most important is if you think you're acting crazy, that's a time to look inward because the craziness are triggers. Something's triggering you. The person act a certain way, you get triggered. And what's then, rather than focusing on them, find out within yourself, what's triggering me? What's causing me to react this way? And look inward instead of this constant projection of outward. And we are living in a society that just focuses everything on, it's everybody else's fault instead of taking ownership on my part.
What about, let's talk about jealousy for a second. Because I feel like it's really hard today to not be jealous sometimes because there's past relationships, there's all these apps out there, there's just algorithms that just shove options in your face every day.
So jealousy is an internal insecurity, right? That's an internal insecurity. It's feeling like you're not worthy. I once dated a woman who drop dead gorgeous, made multi-million-dollars a year, and at that time I was almost dead broke. I was struggling financially because of the 2008 crash. And here, all these guys were checking her out. And my feeling was, I'm the one dating her. She's with me. I was secure in myself rather than going, I'm insecure with myself. Oh, some other guy might want her. So that's all inner stuff. When you're feeling or acting jealous, it requires to look inward. Did that make sense?
It does. It does. What if the person you're with tells you if they find those people attractive or whatever? Would that bother you?
You know what? I've even looked at men and say, darn, he's attractive. So if someone says someone's attractive, the thing is, do they do it habitually? I've worked with some of my clients say they've been with men that habitually compliment other women, and they're not being respectful to their partner. I think, treating each other with respect is another important component that seems to be so missing in relationships today. It's one-off thing. Hey, that's a handsome guy, that's a handsome girl. I think that's fine. If you're doing it habitually, that's not cool.
Gotcha.
Especially if they have 10,000 Instagram followers that are all gorgeous girls, or the other way around, he's following 10,000. Then you have to ask, what is going on inside that person that needs to feel validated through all these other experiences?
Now, one of my friends going through a breakup right now. What's the best advice when you're breaking up with somebody?
In some cases, depending on the why of the breakup, one of the best things to do is to do a detox and not talk for a period of time with the other person. If you both decided you're going to part ways, then it's good to kind of reintegrate back into yourself. Because think about it, a relationship is like a tapestry. You have to kind of unravel the tapestry and then do the self-love piece during that period of time. You know, work out more, listen and meditate, you know, go to things with your friends, and take a break from the previous communication.
Yeah. So like, yeah, she just called me. She's like, I'm so sad. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell her. I'm like, I was like, eat some cookies.
Well, breakups do suck. And you know what? It's actually important to feel those negative feelings, to feel that anxiety, and to let it out. Some people do what's called emotional release work. They take a baseball bat to a pillow and just beat it just to get out the energy that's stored inside of you. And that's another good form of therapy.
Great, wonderful. So the women that you normally coach, where do you tell them to go on dating sites, or what's your advice for them to find the love?
I just shot a video on my YouTube about dating apps. So, you know, it's interesting. Roughly 50% of all new relationships these days are happening through an online connection.
Wow.
Now, by the way, that's anecdotal, but and certainly for the age demographic of my age demographic, that's certainly true. Although nowadays, even for 20 and 30-year-olds, where are they meeting people? Because we're not, right now because of the pandemic, we're not going to bars, we're not going to places. So online dating is a meeting place. They should have taken out the word dating and called it a meeting app, because that's all it is. The fact that it says dating puts way too much pressure. It's just a portal to meet people.
That would be better, yeah. If it was just a meeting app, I would definitely go and hang out with a lot more people.
Yeah, we'd take the pressure off of it. I do happen to like, so a couple of the apps that I like are Bumble, Hinge, and I like Match.com from its website perspective, the functionality of that. Those are the top three that I like.
Where have you seen like the best, I guess, where do you think the best group of men are?
So, you know, it's funny. I know, you know, some people, for example, bag on Tinder and say that that's just a pickup site, right? I know this gorgeous woman who's worth multi-millions of dollars met her love of her life on Tinder, and they're now married. So,
wow.
You know what? Good people are everywhere. We have to stop, or at least my perception is, stop saying, you know, there's good people everywhere. And yes, there's some bad people everywhere too. Stop being so hyper-focused on what's wrong and focus on what's right. If we began to focus more on what's right, we'll start having better experiences instead of always looking for what's wrong.
Gotcha. I like this. Now, so before we talk to you, do you have like advice on how women should be flirting with these men, or like communicating? Like, should the woman text the man first?
Yeah, so I have a little theory on that. So, like take Bumble for example. Bumble's a site where when two people swipe, the woman initiates it. Now, this is called dropping the hanky, as it used to be called in olden times. They're making the first move, and the reason why I actually like that is men feel more enthusiastic when they know that the person is interested in them. Just because two people swipe, some people swipe, what's it called? The obligatory swipe. You know, you're just like, I want to see if they like me or not, and then I'll delete them later.
It's like a game. It's like an ego boost.
Well, and there is a certain amount of validation that happens. The dopamine happens. Oh my God, they swiped and liked me. And then I looked at their profile. I'm like, that happens too. So, okay, so let's go back to Bumble, women initiating. So I have a little acronym for all the women who are following me. It's called NICE. N-I-C-E. Follow this. The N stands for use the person's name when you're reaching out to them. So instead of just saying, hey, which is so boring, or how's your day going, or are you having a good day, which most people are like, that's the you know, I sometimes think, is that the best they can do? Is that really the best you can do? So, okay, going back to my acronym, NICE. You start with the person's name. Hey, Jonathan. And why that's so important is when I say your name, Lauren, right? Yeah. We all perk up when we hear our name. So start with the person's name.
I like this.
The I stands for be inquisitive, which means ask a question. Hey, I see in your profile you have a book on the nightstand called What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? What's that all about? You ask a question. Number 3, the C stands for compliment. You know, it's interesting. Women get before the pandemic, when people were out in public all day long, women used to get 1,000 compliments. In fact, how many compliments did you get, while we're in the studio? A couple people complimented you on your outfit.
Yeah.
Men get 0 compliments in any given, mostly 0 compliments in a day. So throw out a compliment. Hey, you're easy on the eyes. I like your smile. You have good teeth, whatever it is. Throw in a compliment. And the E, N-I-C-E, the E stands for enthusiasm. Leave an emoji, leave something that says, I'm excited to talk to you. If you really want to, engage with someone, then practice my NICE method. N-I-C-E, name, inquisitive, compliment, enthusiastic.
What do you think about long-term, long-distance relationships? Do those work? Take some water for that one.
Yeah. So let's think about it. It's hard enough to date someone who lives 5 minutes away from you. And by the way, here in Los Angeles, long distance is about the drive you and I came to here, right? So most long distance, if you have to get on a plane or something, we have to kind of differentiate because like I said, you and I are long distance from each other from coming to here.
Yeah.
So a couple things to know. What's your eventual plan if you want to be in a fully committed relationship on when the two are going to actually be in the same town? I think it's important at some point, if you're going to explore a relationship, to talk about what's the game plan. Because again, what I say before, you're either dating to get married or they're going to be somebody you used to know. Right?
So how long should you set that game plan? What did you say, a year to
Oh, no. Well, if you're doing long distance, I think it's an important conversation to start right away. I said it takes about a year to really feel like, it takes 4 seasons to feel really comfortable to know if this is someone you may or may not want to be in partnership with. Most of the time we know this very quickly. I mean, think about it. How many people go on a first or second date and never see anybody again? I mean, how many first dates are going to happen today where it never goes anywhere?
I always feel so bad. Then they call you and you're just like, I just don't pick up the phone.
Well, that's another form of ghosting. So here's the thing. I want everyone to listen to this, okay? It's the hardest thing to do, and yet it's the kindest thing to do. Hey, Lauren, I had a great time with you the other night, but... No, just say, I really had a great time. You're a really special lady. As I reflected upon our date, I just don't feel aligned. You and I are aligned with each other from a long-term perspective, and I just want to wish you all the best on your journey to love. I know it's a little corny and a little, a little sappy, but at least you're getting the message across. You're just saying, I just don't think we're a good fit for each other. And people actually appreciate, remember I said speak your truth, just do it kindly. And today we have just become so accustomed and like, well, I'm not going to answer the phone. I mean, that's not cool. Right? Well, do you like that happening to you? Okay, but remember you asked me about mirror? Whatever you put out comes back.
Oh,
and
wow.
Sometimes it comes back in what's called a 2x4.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm dealing with this now, because I ghosted a few people.
Oh, well.
Oh, no.
Who would not? Who would not travel to see Lauren? I would agree with that. Let's see. Well said, Jonathan. Thank you. I appreciate that. Someone said straightforward. You know what? And that's the thing. If people began being more straightforward and kind with one another, they'll actually begin to experience they'll have a better experience from this process, because dating now is a process compared to the olden days. And it requires as I said earlier, intentionality and some consciousness behind it, instead of the old adage, you know what, if we just feel good and have a great time, it's all going to magically work out. This is where most people focus on chemistry, and they focus very little on compatibility.
Yeah. So what do you do if the person, so what do you do if you're attracted to people that aren't interested in long-term, but you want long-term?
Wait, if you're not you're not physically attracted to them?
Yeah, I guess a lot of the guys I've gone on dates with that really were nice, wanted to be wanted to settle down. They were just I could tell they really liked me. I was just I just didn't feel anything.
So,
But then the person who was avoidant, I was just like, I felt like such a spark with them. Like,
okay, because this goes back to healing a childhood wound or trauma.
Oh, thank
and
you.
That's,
My
so you may
parents
want to, it's on Amazon. It's called Getting the Love You Want by Harvel, Hendricks, and Helen Hunt. This book explains why we choose the wrong people. It goes into real in-depth of why this happens. And when you understand why it happens, you can actually start predicting your behavior going forward. And if you can predict your behavior, you can make better choices going forward. First, seek to understand why you're doing this. Now, why are you dismissing most of the other guys? Because we're so egoic here, especially in the United States. We're so material focused and status focused instead of heart focused. And so a lot of those great guys you might have passed on, mostly, I'm going to guess because of, can I say a shallow reason? I mean, was it a shallow reason?
no, I mean, they were really, I mean, no, I don't think they were totally all shallow reasons.
Okay.
But I mean, some of them might have been shallow reasons.
Okay. And by the way, I'm guilty of shallow reasons too. We're all are, because we're human and we're just on a journey. You know, we have to, the thing is, part of the dating process is you're going to have a lot of mistakes. What happens is so many people hyper focus on what went wrong instead of, you know what? Look at what Edison took, I think it's 10,000 attempts to make a light bulb. And you know, someone said, why did you keep trying? He goes, I learned 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb. Instead of focusing on what was wrong, he was focused on how can I get what I want? And how can I be a better version of myself? And that's why I wrote my book. When we show up as a better version of ourselves, we attract people that are more aligned to who we are and what we want.
So I when I was watching your YouTube videos,
Okay.
you talked about, you didn't even mention that you wrote a book. She said, you know, what the heck is self-love? And I'm like, that's such a cool title. And I like paused your video and I got the book and I realized, I'm like, oh, he actually wrote the book. and it was on Kindle. I know Amazon is really cool. They give you like a free option. Like, I guess if you have like a Kindle membership, I think I got your book for free.
Yeah, so I think, well, I set it up that way.
Okay.
So if you have Kindle and you want to get it for free, it's set up that way.
So guys, you could all go get
Amazon,
it on Kindle.
yeah, Amazon Prime or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wrote a book, I have Kindle, and now I'm in the process of doing an Audible version. And it's all through Amazon.
So how did you do that? Like, I want to write a book.
So first, okay, I mean, do you want the long, I was going to give you the long story. Really quickly, first you have to put it in a Word document. I mean, you have to write out your book.
How long did it take you to write it?
Actually, I worked with a ghostwriter. I recorded all my material, and then she put it together. And you know, she put my words to music. Is the way I look at it. And that took about 9 months. And then I had to hire a book formatter, someone to format it for a book version. So like in my book, you have to format the size and you have to format the spine and everything.
I love the cover. Who designed
And
that?
she actually designed my cover for me.
Amazing.
So this is hand done. We have a little...
Oh, so she's also an artist.
Yeah.
Very talented.
And then, so you basically have to format the book. Then, if you want to have a Kindle version, you have to have that formatted in what's called a mobile version. So it's a little bit of work, but you know what? It's so easy to work with Amazon. You literally click a couple buttons. It's called Kindle publishing, by the way. You literally upload, click a couple buttons, set the price, and then within 72 hours, it's uploaded, and then they print on demand.
That's so cool. That's so.
And by the way, I'm computer illiterate, so if I can do it, anybody else can do it. The hardest part was writing it, though.
And now, like,
and then proofreading it. By the way, I still have mistakes in my book. I've proofed it so many times, and there's still always something.
Well, that's what I'm worried. I'm such a bad speller. I was like, I hope I have some viewers out here. If you're a good speller, let me know. When I write my book, I might need you, because I've had people like come like my bio, or like they'd go to my website and they'd like email me back like, Lauren, you did all this wrong grammatically.
You need to find a friend of yours that is like the grammar police. I mean, someone who is so retentive about that, and they read every line of the book.
We got a really long message. Guys, I had like something wrong with my eye, so I can't wear my contacts.
I'm a small YouTuber. Looks like I see the groove, and I'm looking in the getting them. Oh, the lights. Okay, she's talking about, or he or she is talking about the lights.
Nice. Yeah,
Giovanni.
Giovanni.
Okay.
These are really cool, amazing lights. I think they can. Are they in my shopping? They're probably in my queue. There's a carousel. Guys, just to reset the room, I'm here with Jonathan Ashley. We're reading his book, What the Heck is Self-Love? We're here at Sway TV, and we're just talking about now our carousel. So if you go to the carousel, it has like all of my favorite things in it, which has Jonathan's book that you can get for free on Kindle right now if you're an Amazon Prime member. Or also, I think these lights are there too. They're amazing. They're really cool. I don't know, guys, if you shoot any TikToks or YouTube videos, but you just put them on the ceiling, you put them on the side. Really, really awesome. They are also Wi-Fi, which is really cool.
Okay, I've got to get one of those now. I'm excited.
We all have to get those, but definitely looks cool in your YouTube videos or in your Instagram videos or TikToks. Definitely very fun. All right, so we were going through here. Your thoughts create your feelings.
Okay, so I want you to think about, there's a story, Which Wolf You Feed. But the idea is, if we are thinking negative things, we're going to feel negativity in our lives. So we have a choice. Everything we do have a choice. We can start to choose more positive feelings. Now, let's say you're feeling deeply hurt from a past relationship. You may not feel it overnight, but continually feed what I say the wolf, or that part of you that is what brings you joy, what brings you happiness. And most of all, how can we shift to gratitude? Because when we over-focus on negative feelings, we'll continually have negative feelings or negative things happen in our lives.
What if the person you're with is like in a depressed mood or upset, and that affects your mood?
That's natural. We are absorbent human beings. We do absorb someone else's energy. Now, if someone is temporarily in depression or in a bad mood, they might need space. They might just need time to recharge their battery. So one of the things you can do in those cases is say, hey, look, I'm just going to take off and you can have some space right now to yourself. That's an easy thing a person can do. Another thing is, how can I support you in what's going on in your life? Ask to be a helper in that person's life. Ultimately, some people, when they're going through depression, they can deflect their partner. And in many cases, again, if it's a situational, just give them some space. If they're dealing with a lot of heavy-duty stuff, maybe you don't want to be in a relationship with someone who's got, I know people who have constant problems. And you know what? Have you noticed? Most of the time, it's self-inflicted problems. They've created it. And those aren't fun people to be with.
Gotcha. Now I have a question, because some of my friends have gotten scammed on dating sites, and I watched this crazy Lifetime. I don't know if you saw that Lifetime TV show. I forget the name of it.
Dirty John.
Dirty John. Yeah. Dirty John, and it just terrified me. Have you seen this? Have any of your clients had something to do with this?
So sadly, there are some sophisticated con artists out there. So unfortunately, in the online dating realm, there's going to be a variety of different types of con artists. Some people are using other people's pictures simply to connect with other people. And sadly, my pictures have been stolen literally 10,000, and I'm not making up this number, it's thousands of times.
Wow.
It's used. Mostly it's by Nigerian scam artists that are trying to get money. I
heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that.
That was on the news.
Yeah, that happens a lot. So one of the things you want to do is, I have a rule of thumb called 3, 2, 1, 3. Okay? 3 messages back and forth should lead to 1 or 2 phone calls, which should lead to 1 date, and this should all happen within 3 weeks. Most of the time when people are being conned in the Nigerian scam artists, these goes on for a period of time. They build rapport with someone only through instant messaging or emails, and then they hit you up for money. That does happen. That's why I recommend my 3, 2, 1, 3. Or you can get on FaceTime, or you can do a Zoom call with them right away. Immediately go to Zoom or FaceTime right away when you're communicating with someone to check out to see if they're real. The other thing I think we should be doing a lot more, and people are so reluctant to do it, is stalking them. Now, what I mean to say, just like you said you stalked me, is, okay, hey, I want your Facebook page name. I want your Instagram. I want to look you up to see if you're real. And some people are like, no, I don't share my private life. Well, you're public on those things anyway. So if it's public, I want to know who you are before I invest a moment of time with you. And I'm here to, I want people to be more proactive instead of fear-based. If someone's afraid to give you their contact info, now I can understand why, because we don't know if they're going to be a psycho or something like that. I get it. But I would want to at least do some sort of background check on a person. Look them up to... By the way, I once was at a resort, and I was talking to a woman who said, I won't date a guy if he's not Google worthy. In other words, if I can't look up his name and find him on Google, which she said happened, I won't date a guy.
Well, I know people who pay a lot of money to get their name off of Google. Like, really wealthy people do that sometimes.
Well, and by the way, wealthy people don't need to be going on online dating to meet people too. They have a different venue for that. But to see if someone is legit. And now going back to the Dirty John, I mean, the sad part of that is it was a sophisticated con artist. And let me just say one thing, that happens about 1 out of every 10 million times. I mean, it's not happening significantly. Well, I made up that number, by the way. It's not significant. Most people that are online dating sites, they're good people. They're just bad daters. That's all. Most human beings are good people that want connection. They want love. They just don't know how to go about it. And if you watch my videos, by the way, if you go to my YouTube channel, I'm always bringing up book after book, not only my book, but I bring up so many books to help educate people so they can become better daters.
That's good. I think I need that. I think I'm pretty good, but if I actually like somebody and they're not showing me those signs back, I can get anxious. Because I'm just like, what the hell? I'm not used to this. Like...
Well, I'm shocked because you're a gorgeous gal. I'm sure you've got 1 million guy followers that want you. So, I mean, for you to go anxious probably means it'd be a good time to look at why that's happening. And I bet you anything, if you look at your childhood, that's where it stems from.
Oh, it's hard. My father's probably watching this right now, so I'm sorry, Daddy.
Well, you know what? I had great parents. My parents were married 66 years, and I still have issues that relate to childhood. Sometimes it was as benign. Okay, so I'm an anxious person too. Do you know where this stems from? I had to literally do heavy-duty therapy to get there. I was with my family skiing. I was 4 years old, and my mom left me by myself, and I became incredibly anxious as a child. And then it turned out that I became anxious as an adult. So I worked on my stuff to figure out where it happened. So then I asked my mom, and I told her the story. She goes, I didn't leave you. I was just 5 feet away. But to a child, 5 feet can be 500 feet. And so this is how a child's brain doesn't know how to assimilate adult information. And so as children, we can make up all kinds of stories about our parents. We could have great parents and still make up stories that cause us to either be anxious or avoidant.
So how were you able to get over that, or?
I'm certainly better at it.
Like, have you healed yourself? Is there a solution?
You know what? I think life is a perpetual healing, and then you get to a certain point where you just say, you know what? I am who I am. I accept who I am, and I'm going to be okay with who I am. In fact, what did I say the number one emotional health issue is? I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not likable. This is what most people feel at the core, and anyone who acts differently oftentimes is putting a facade, because this really is, most people have this issue.
Gotcha. Yes.
So we should have compassion for one another is what I'm suggesting.
Definitely.
And for ourselves.
Definitely. Guys, just to reset this room right now, we're here for Sway TV on Amazon Live. I'm looking at my dog. Sorry. Got a little distracted for a second.
He's so cute.
We're on Amazon Live. We have the amazing Jonathan Astley here today, and he wrote this awesome book, What the Heck is Self-Love? And we're just talking about different forms of self-love, relationship advice, because I need lots of relationship advice.
We're going to get you the greatest guy with this year.
You know what I think it is? I always pick these people that I know that I'm not going to, like, I pick projects. I'm a project picture. Like, so why do I do that? Does that have to do with being anxious? Or, like, why do I
know what?
Fix
so,
things?
all right. So here's the thing.
Like, even the
Let
house
me just
I
ask you a
bought.
question. You're walking down a street and there's a deep hole in the sidewalk and you see it. Are you going to fall in?
No, but I'll put like a little cone so no one else does.
But your fault, so you already know what your habits are.
Yeah.
What's the definition of insanity?
Oh, wow. Doing something that you know is gonna,
Same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Yeah.
So you know this. So how about making a change? So do you want the blue pill or do you want the red pill? And I don't mean in that community base. I'm just saying it's a choice. You get to make the choice. If you know it going in, then how about trying something different?
That's interesting. But for some reason, all those nice guys just seem so boring.
Well,
And I'm
you
like-
know what? Okay, so
Or
here's
like
the thing.
all the,
and
the doctors,
by the way,
the
how
lawyers,
about we just
the people
choose,
with big companies. I'm like,
How about a good guy with some edge?
where are they? They're
well,
good
first
and
off-
they're boring.
And men can say the same thing about women. Okay, the biggest complaint in the dating realm is where are all the good guys? And I'm like, men say the same thing. Where are all the nice, kind, sweet women? This is how, and by the way, they're right in front of us. The problem is we have to get past that first layer of ego and start, and I'm here to, promote getting to the heart. How can we get to someone's heart? Because when we connect with someone's heart, we can fall in love with almost anybody. I mean, within reason.
How do you do that?
Ask better questions. Ask deeper questions instead of the surface way of dating and the expectation of romance. This is another thing. There's this grand expectation of romance. And I'm here to say, you know what? Romance blinds us from whether or not this person is really a good partner for us. So know your values, know what type of lifestyle you're looking for, and definitely work on your emotional maturity so then when you meet someone with chemistry, it can ignite.
Now, what are some red flags? Like, do you have like a list of, is there any red flags? Is there a red flag chapter in that?
No, I don't have a red flag. Well, okay, so one of my red flags is people who complain. People who do not take ownership. So I'll share it with a story. I met a woman once some years ago, and she told me that her ex-husband was a narcissist. And I go, okay. And then she said the last boyfriend was a narcissist. I'm like, really? And then she said the guy before that was a narcissist, and the guy before. So she had like 5 narcissists in her life. And I'm like, well, I'm not a narcissist, so I'm perfect for her. Okay, so we dated for about 6-7 weeks, and she just was not right for me. The next thing, we ended the relationship, and on Facebook the next day, and I quote, "Another narcissist" was like the caption. So, you know what's funny is I wasn't listening. She gave me all the clues because she took no ownership on what caused the relationship to end. All she did was blame the other person. I did that after my divorce. I blamed my wife for everything. Now I take ownership for my part, and and I share what I didn't like about her part.
So the last guy I dated before this person, who I'm not really dating, but whatever, came out of a divorce, and I never realized that. And I feel like because his wife had left him, he had all this like anger towards women. Is there any advice for like dealing with that? Because I never even.
Yes,
I was like,
it's 4 letters. NEXT.
Next.
Seriously, you know what? Because like if you ask me about my ex-spouse, you know what? Hey, we weren't right for each other. I didn't know any better. We made some mistakes. I made some mistakes. She made some mistakes. And now we've healed, this, and we are now to the extent that we're family with one another. I mean, we're not friends per se. But did you see how I shared my past experience? I made some mistakes, she made some mistakes. If someone is always pointing the finger at someone else, that to me for Jonathan Asley, that's a deal breaker. For most people, that should be a red flag. And red flags, by the way, red flags means ask better questions. That's what red flags mean.
Yeah, I just think I think all of my relationships, I always didn't really want a long-term relationship, so I was picking these people. So how do I make myself want that? How do you do that?
Well, how do you make yourself want a long-term relationship? Well, you have to want a committed relationship. And okay, so my coaching is all centered around people who want partnership with another human being. Partnership.
I like partnership.
Okay.
I do. I like partnership, but I think I'm scared of commitment.
Well, here's the problem. Without commitment, you can never get to partnership. So here's the real problem in dating and relationships. There's almost no commitment with the other person. It is a commitment, by the way, everyone Google the definition of commitment in, go Google it right now, definition of commitment. And the first definition is we are it's not in relationship, it would be active in a cause together. Okay, you have a cause together. So remember I said before, 20 and 30-year-olds, the cause is getting married, buying a house, starting a family, raising children. That's their common cause, okay? The other definition of a commitment means restriction of freedom. I have to go to this party, but I don't want to go to this party, but I made a commitment, okay? That's actually the other definition of commitment. I'm here to say, if you want to be in a healthy, happy relationship, find your common cause. When you find your common cause, then make a commitment to that.
What if they don't have the same common cause?
Then your relationship doesn't have possibly alignment with one another, because without a common cause, how can you go the distance? Okay? By the way, if everyone, I'm a byproduct of parents that were married for 66 years. So I think in these terms, okay? We now, in relationships today, most people are in casual relationships today. Esther Perel, who wrote the book Mating in Captivity, which you can find on Amazon, which is a great book, she talks about something called stable ambiguity. And what that is most relationships today, the stable is they're monogamous and exclusive with one another, and the ambiguous part is the commitment to one another. It's ambiguous. And when something's ambiguous, it's difficult to actually make a commitment to something that's ambiguous. There's the book.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're not gonna.
Yeah.
Ambiguous. What is your definition of ambiguous?
So ambiguous means there's not an understanding. What's the purpose of us being together? Okay, what's the real purpose? I by the way, when someone hires me, my first two questions: what's the purpose of dating, and what's the purpose of a relationship? And most everybody says to have a good time. Like that's the purpose. Is it really the purpose? Purpose of dating is to vet someone to decide if you want to be in a relationship with them. By the way, this is the world according to Jonathan Asley. This is my perspective. I'm not saying this is an absolute. This is just my perspective, okay? Purpose of dating is a vetting process to decide if you want to be in a relationship with someone. And the purpose of a relationship is to vet to see if you should be in partnership with one another. Otherwise, you're going to be somebody I used to know. Remember that song?
Yes, I know. I have an ex-boyfriend who dedicated it to me.
And I have a girlfriend for that one too. Oh.
So any advice on what I like? Should you set a deadline? Should I set a deadline or no? Or am I only interested in this person because they're not like?
Well. Okay, so why do you like, I was about to say, why do you like this guy? But let's not go there for a second. So setting a deadline. I'm not big on deadlines because that puts someone in an awkward position. What I'm big on is two people talking to one another, expressing their feelings, and seeing if they're aligned with one another. So for everyone, I think of a relationship like a two-lane street. Not a two-way street, a two-lane street. You're both driving two cars separately, okay? And you're roughly at the same speed. And at some point, you're going to decide if one person wants to get in this car or that car and do it together. That's called co-creating a relationship. Now, did you hear the words I just said? Co-creating. It's two people coming out and saying, this is what I want and this is what I want. And let's come to an agreement on what that looks like. We have grown up in the traditional society here of the one up, one down. It's the man is the leader of the relationship and the woman's the follower. Well, that doesn't exist. Well, that still exists predominantly. But I'm here to say I would prefer women to step into the role of saying, I want to co-create a relationship with another person by expressing my needs and wants. You express your needs and wants and see if we're on the same page. I said a mouthful there.
Wow. Yeah, that's going to be a lot to comprehend. I'm going to have to call you after this, Jonathan. I'm going to call you for your So how can somebody get coaching from you?
So go to my website, jonathanaslay.com/coaching. That's what you filled out to connect with me while you were stalking me, which I really appreciate. My YouTube channel, you can go to my YouTube channel, my Instagram, go any of those places to reach out if you want some. And my job is I help women vet for emotionally mature men. My area of expertise is helping women decipher emotionally stifled men versus emotionally mature men. Because without emotional maturity, your relationship will be dysfunctional.
How do you know if someone's emotionally mature?
All right, so I have a little.
Another
Well, I have a video on it called "The 5 Signs of Emotional Maturity." So I said it earlier.
Yeah.
Actions consistently matching words. Okay, being in integrity. If you haven't read the book, The 4 Agreements, it's on Amazon. The 4 Agreements talks about being impeccable with your word as one of the most important components of that. Number 2, you have victor consciousness and not victim consciousness. In other words, you take ownership in your part of a relationship. Okay, you take ownership of your part. That's number 2. Number 3, you learn how to do what's called fighting fair. Every relationship is going to have friction. Some people operate when they have disagreements. I'm right, you're wrong. A healthy relationship is, I'm going to listen to your point of view, and I'm going to accept your point of view as being true for you, okay? And I want you to listen to my point of view and accept it for being true for me. We can always agree to disagree, but I want each person should be able to accept the other person's truth. It's not about right or wrong. People that operate, I have to be right, they're not operating from a place of, I want to be happy. Okay. Number 4, empathy. And this is a big one. And empathy isn't just, I feel your feelings. I can feel your feelings. Empathy is, I care about your feelings.
That's a big difference.
Yes, that's true. Empathy is, I care about your feelings.
But what about somebody who could just feel feelings and then doesn't care? Not doesn't seem like they care, but like isn't.
Well, then they lack an area of emotional maturity, because really, if you want to be in partnership with someone, you care about their feelings. Let me give you an example. My ex-girlfriend, she had 2 big golden retrievers, and she had, had to buy these heavy bags of dog food for them. Well, you know what? It was a struggle for her, and I saw that. So I said, that's a struggle for her. I went to the pet store and bought the food for her. She didn't even ask me because I recognized she needed someone. That's real empathy, is recognizing someone's needs. And then lastly, transparency. And transparency simply means if it's material to the relationship, you are transparent. So, I'm afraid of being engulfed in this relationship. He's actually being transparent when he says that. That's actually a mature thing to say. Now, he's kind of pointing the finger at you, I think, on that one.
No, he's saying that that's been his fear. Yeah.
Okay. I just didn't know, but I'm getting a sense of it.
Yeah.
But emotional maturity is being transparent if it's material to the relationship. What I mean is, you don't have to tell everyone everything that you're thinking. Some people just vomit all their feelings 24/7. Keep some of your stuff to yourself, okay? And sadly, a lot of people do vomit it on social media too.
Yeah, or just talk about everything.
They talk about everything about their problems instead of really taking ownership of it. Yeah, I think we have a little too much of that. But those are just 5 easy signs to look for.
And now, any advice for women out there that have to kind of get back on that horse? Like my friend who said, she went through this breakup. She's like, I can't even think of dating someone else.
Well, then date when you feel ready. Now, we're never really ever ready. We're just getting ready to get ready to get ready to get ready. So what do? Is you read the books I recommend. You meditate. You spend time with a circle of friends. Maybe you even go see a therapist. Maybe you do a workshop. Most people focus on more superficial things, and I'm a big proponent on introspective work. Working on oneself so you can be the best human being you can possibly be. Because whether you're in relationship or not, the most important relationship you have is with yourself. And to go back to Esther Perel, she says, the quality of your relationships dictate the quality of your life. So start with the relationship with yourself, and then choose people who enhance your life instead of toxic people that can oftentimes bring it down.
That's, one of the things I was always focused on is are you the main character? like,
Yeah.
too. Like, and that's what I would say to my friend. I'm like, you're not the main character here. Like, you know, like.
Well, it mostly for women because they give their power away to a guy. And look, if you want that one up, one down relationship, then if that's what you want, I'm not here to stop you from it, but I'm going to say you're going to feel engulfed in that kind of relationship. I'm here to encourage women to empower themselves, to step into their empowerment and take charge of their relationship destiny. So, and I always say this, women are okay, so ladies, I know how much you like men to lead the relationship. You are the leaders of the emotional aspect of the relationship because you buy these books 10 to 1 more so than men. So you've already, if you're reading the books I recommend, you know this before they know it. And how do you get them involved? You lead by example. That's simple it. You lead by example. And if they don't catch up, next.
And how do you just say next? Like, what's your tips for just like
you just go on your phone and you text them next. You know what? You use what's called the Oreo cookie. So the Oreo cookie is you start with something positive, you know.
I'm really bad at breaking up with people.
Okay.
That's my worst
All right,
thing.
so write this down, Oreo
like,
cookie.
I dated someone for a year,
Okay.
and just left the state, and I
You know
couldn't
what?
do it. I just
Okay,
couldn't do it.
so let me just say this about that. Then you're not taking empowerment of your own life. You're letting your fear, let me just say something to everyone. It is not your job to please other people, okay? And so you allowed your fear of being I suspect you're a people
I'm a
pleaser.
people pleaser. Wow,
okay?
like you're psychic.
But you're compromising your own self-worth, your self-esteem, your self-confidence. And if you do this a lot, 20 years from now, you'll be upset, bitter, and jaded.
Well, I feel
so
bad.
stop it.
Well, I
Stop
felt
it.
bad. I felt
don't
bad
mean
for
to yell,
him.
by the way.
I felt bad for him.
Well, you know what? He's in charge of his own feelings. By the way, one of my chapters in my book is centered around you focus on your feelings and let them focus on their feelings. Okay, you're not in charge of someone else's feelings.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't, by the way, what was chapter 1? Speak your truth, do it with kindness. You can always end something in a kind way. Okay, they may not like it, but you're doing them the favor.
Yeah.
Actually, why don't you start looking at it from this way? You're doing them the favor.
That's true.
I mean,
yeah, I just
ideally you should look at it for yourself.
I was really I was like, I'm trying so hard to do this. I'm trying so hard to make this relationship work and really be in love with them. And I just.
All right, so there's a book I want to recommend to everyone. Okay? It's called 8 Dates by Dr. John and Julie Gottman. 8 Dates by Dr. John and Julie Gottman. Okay, so here's my recommendation. Once you've decided you're in a relationship with another human being, you buy two copies of the book. And by the way, it's 8 separate dates to talk about the important fundamentals of a relationship. Now, most humans have no clue on this stuff. This is why when you educate yourself, you're going to be better prepared. And I promise you, if you read this book on your own, and then you say the next guy or with the guy you're with now, say, we're going to read this together to see if we're on the same page. And if we're not, it's okay to say, you know what, let's move on. And be okay with it. By the way, Catherine Woodward Thomas wrote a great book called Conscious Uncoupling. Conscious Uncoupling. In fact, I'm in the book.
Oh, you're how are you in the
book?
book?
Well, it was the way my ex-girlfriend and I broke up on social media.
How you broke up on social
media? No, so we broke up. How we announced it to our community was through social media. And she actually took our letter, or that post, and put it in her book.
That's amazing.
Because it was a very grown-up way to end a relationship. Conscious uncoupling is saying, hey, look, you know what? I love you, and you're a great person, and you love me, and you think I'm a great person. We're just not a fit for each other. By the way, Gwyneth Paltrow and her husband, that's how they ended their relationship. It was a very conscious uncoupling of the relationship. And I can tell you, when we approach from a grown-up perspective instead of the childhood way people end things today, or they ghost or disappear, if humans would just be more grown up, we would have less angst in the dating process. At least that's what I shout at the top of my lungs to get people to do, is to be grown up.
Yeah. It's hard. Dating is very hard. I get a lot of people in LA hitting me up. They're matchmakers. It's just crazy people I used to be friends with, and everyone sees, they're like, oh, you're single, and they see my Instagram, and I just get people DMing me. Like, how do you decipher that? Like, how do you decide, like, okay, maybe I will go on this date with this person that my friend set me up with, or
So, well, we think about it, most of the time we're focused on attraction, physical attraction. I mean, that's usually what's going on. Those guys that are hitting up on you are physically attracted to you.
So if I'm not physically attracted, like, it's a waste of time. Like, how can you really tell from Instagram?
Not necessarily. Well, from a picture, I'm more focused when you love on yourself, you actually become highly attuned to your intuition. So one of the chapters in my books talks about your intuition. Here's the thing. When you genuinely really work on yourself and love yourself, your intuition is screaming all the time. And it's actually giving you clues. You just have to learn to listen. And so my invitation for you is to learn to listen.
I can't. Sorry.
Well. I like your glasses. They're so cool.
Thank you. They're prescription glasses. I didn't want to wear like normal glasses because I was like, I have to look cool.
These are my progressive glasses.
Those are progressive
so
glasses.
I can see far away, now I can see up close.
Awesome. Oh, I'm now looking to the right at my dog, George, who is playing with the studio dog, Zoe. George is in love. Zoe, I don't think really cares about him. She's just like, no.
Look who's coming to visit us.
Hi, girl.
Aw.
Anyway, guys, so what about if a person has dog trauma or they don't like your dog, how do you deal with that?
Oh my gosh. Our dog, well, they would almost be like our children. You know, our pets are the equivalent of a child. So if someone doesn't like your child, you know, that's not, you know, you have to ask yourself so here's the thing. If someone had a trauma in their childhood, that's one thing. If someone just inherently, and most likely, if someone inherently doesn't like dogs, well, this is a judgment on my part. I wouldn't want to date them. Now, cats is a whole nother story. I'm just kidding. I'm going to piss off all the cat people. No, here's the thing. Our pets are a part of our lives. And so this is the part of the luggage that comes with it. You know, I was going to, you know, not baggage, luggage. In other words, this is part of my life. And if someone can't accept that part of your life, you have to ask yourself, is it worth, you know, dating someone like that?
Yeah. That's the...
By the way, dogs can actually can actually cause problems in a relationship too, because they require so much maintenance.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I feel like a lot of guys can be jealous of my dog. And any advice?
Well, again, jealousy is purely an internal insecurity. You know, if someone's jealous of you, the dog, they might feel a little, you probably are schmoopy with your dog, right?
Yeah.
Very schmoopy, okay? But eventually you're going to want to move some of that schmoopiness to the guy you're dating.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So maybe at first, you know, the person might feel a little insecure, but ultimately, are you giving the affection and attention to your partner not in the same way you give your dog per se, but you certainly can. But are you meeting each other's needs? Because people get jealous when they don't feel like their needs are getting met. Now, people create a lot of stories in their head, you know, that's on them, but that can create problems too.
So how do you stop creating stories? Because I feel like I do that too.
Sometimes. So awareness. So what did we talk about, the definition of insanity?
Doing something over and over
again. Okay, so you know you choose a certain type of guy.
Yeah.
So you're aware of it now. Okay, you have then the choice. I'm going to keep on doing this, or am I going to do something to heal? And I'm here to push healing, to push therapy, to push personal development, self-help, and spiritual work, so you don't choose the same type of patterns over and over again.
What if the person is spiritual that I'm seeing?
So spiritual in my venue simply means you're aware of your higher self, and you're introspective and working on yourself. A lot of people are spiritual, but it's also an excuse to be incredibly narcissistic. Because on some level in the spiritual realm, your first priority is to yourself. Okay? And that's, by the way, that is an element of self-love. And I'm here to say, loving yourself and everybody else. In other words, coming from a premise of love for self and everyone else.
All right, guys, let's reset this room again. here with Jonathan Asley with What the Heck is Self-Love, promoting his book, which you guys can download if you have Amazon Prime. It's free on your Kindle to download this awesome book. And, ooh, your body is a machine, not a temple. What does that mean?
So, before I wrote this book, I used to weigh about 25 pounds heavier.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I was pushing a good, well, almost 30 pounds heavier because I ate crappy food. And so I actually watched a boatload of documentaries on healthy eating. You Can Heal Your Life, amongst other ones. And what I realized, I was putting crappy food into my body. So now I reckon your body is a machine. So if you put crappy stuff in your car, what's going to happen? Your engine's going to rust and things going to happen. Our body is a machine. So the healthier we can actually treat it, not only the more mileage we're going to get from our body, but we're going to experience life in a healthier, happier way. So I'm a big proponent of doing your best to eliminate processed foods and stuff like that. And that's what the chapter is about. Your body is a machine, not a temple.
Awesome. Oh boy, it looks like George does not want to come in from outside. Sorry, guys, but we're going on. We're on swaytv.com. If you're watching us on another platform, come over to swaytv.com.
Yay,
we're gonna take some phone calls. If anyone wants to call in, I think I'm not sure if that's okay, but let's see if we can take some phone calls. I might have to run outside and try to get George. George has escaped to the studio.
Oh.
He's running after the female dog and just, yeah.
See, he's dating right now.
Yeah, George is dating. George is
he's found a hottie.
George found a dog that he's very attracted to and is not listening at all. He's like, oh, should I go run and get the dog?
No, it'll be fine.
All right.
So does anyone have any questions for us? Dogs have it easy.
Yes.
Do they have it easy? They do.
Yeah.
Dogs, you know what? I mean, I'm a little biased, but I think dogs are just unconditional love. So ask your questions.
Yes, guys. Ask
Please
your relationship.
ask questions.
Or I'm just going to keep asking questions and pray to God that any person I'm dating is not watching this video. Or dating like in the future. They'll be like, she's insane.
You know what? They're going to actually appreciate you now because you're more informed than you've ever been before.
I'm learning so much. So if someone tells you from the get-go that they're not looking for anything long-term, should you believe them?
So, well, two things going on there. A, you have to ask yourself, what are you looking for? If you're not looking for long-term and they're not looking for long-term, then go at it because it will become somebody you used to know. Now, when someone says that and you're looking for when someone says that, that means they're not looking for it. They're being honest. So you have to decide whether or not you want to invest in them. Women, what was the thing I said before? Women kind of always expect men to change. Okay? You can't change another human being. Okay. Now, can a relationship grow? Absolutely, a relationship can grow from someone who says, I'm not looking for anything serious. I just wouldn't invest in someone that says that because if I know I want something serious, then I want to put effort and energy into someone who wants the same. That's just my approach.
So believe them.
It's not about belief. It's more, see, this goes back to self-love. What do you want for yourself? Don't focus on what they're doing. Humans hyper-focus on everybody else instead of themselves. So if it's important to you, then just say next. Because the empowered move will attract someone who wants the same as you.
What about there's like a guy from my past who wants to like fly me somewhere and make a company for me? Like that just for me, I mean, it sounds great, but at the same time, I'm like, it's a little much.
Because he wants something from you. And we know what that is. Okay, that's what he wants. Well, I'm sorry, I'm being blunt.
Yeah.
And I know it's a friendly TV, so I can't say it, but there's really one reason why a person would do that. You don't say, you know what, why don't you fly out here and we meet for coffee? See how quick he'll say yes to that.
Anyone says no, I can't read.
No past is past.
Yes.
So, you know, it's interesting. Our past, though, is our barometer for how to approach life. Most people hyper-focus on their past from a negative perspective. And what happens is, and I've seen this in the dating realm, most from women, but men as well, you go on a date with someone and you could see every guy that's ever hurt her sitting behind her at the restaurant. You could see them all. They're just standing right there. Because if you haven't let go or healed your past relationships, it will bleed easily in the conversation, mostly from that victim consciousness.
Wow, so how do you get rid of that? That's horrible.
Well, it takes work.
I don't want those people on dates with me.
So you know what's interesting? More people spend more time brushing their teeth, shampooing their hair, getting their nails done, doing all the proper stuff for self-care, but very little for our emotional self-care. I simply ask everybody to invest 15 minutes to 1 hour a day on emotional self-care. Now, that doesn't mean just sitting there and doing Om for 15 minutes per se. I'm talking about really healing your stuff. So it starts by, remember, you know your pattern. So first, it's recognizing what's the pattern I have and go, okay, now I recognize it. Let me heal it and being intentional about it. But no, we'll spend more time doing Instagram posts and brushing our teeth than we will working on ourselves.
What do you think? Because I often, the people I date aren't the same religion as me. What do you think about dating people that aren't the same religion?
So, well, here's the thing from religion. So, because now I'm thinking about spirituality and religion, right? So if one person is Christian and one's Jewish, they can still be fine together. It depends on how devout you are in your religion and how important is it to you. So if you're incredibly devout in your religion and you're dating an atheist, they may, as an example, they may not appreciate and want to do the same things as you. And then that's going to leave you kind of sad because you want a partner that does the same things as you do. So it's important to share the same values with one another. Religion is more about not so much that you go to church per se, but do you share the same values in life? And politics is another one in there too.
Oh.
And by the way, I mean, never before have we seen politics so infused in the dating realm as in the last 4 years. It never existed before. Now it's just prevalent.
Yeah.
And it's sadly recognizing a divide in our country. It's literally you're on one side or the other side, and this is creating a lot of frictions instead of coming from a heart-centered place.
What do you think about women who put their political, opinions on Tinder or Hinge or any of those sites?
So, well, it's one thing to put your political affiliation, in other words, adding your opinions in there. Most likely you're going to be turning off the people that differ from your opinions. And it is important to be with people who are aligned with you. You don't have to be exact. Let me just say this. You don't have to be the exact same religion or the same politics. What's more important is to be open-minded. Really, the problem with religion or politics is people who are closed-minded and fixed, so fixed, that's going to create problems beyond just the conversation of religion and politics, because that means where are you closed-minded in other areas of your life?
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like
Where are you
telling you
rigid?
telling you other things about them. That's so interesting.
Yes, that's at least the way I perceive it.
And do you like when women write a lot, or would you rather they be short and sweet?
I actually, my my essay on my Match.com is 3,000 characters.
Wow.
Well, because I'm intentional. And if someone's, I've been told, Jonathan, no one's going to read that. I'm like, really? You're not going to read something that you could literally brush your teeth in the amount of time. It's not worth it to you, or that's a turnoff. You know what that tells me about the person? We are not aligned. If that turns you off by just being intentional and forthright versus vague, ambiguous, because the reason why people frustrate in dating, because they spend more time in vagueness and ambiguous stuff instead of the real meat of a relationship. You really want to test someone, ask them what their greatest fear is on a first date. What's your greatest fear on relationship?
Should you ask them on a first date like what attachment style they are?
You know what? I recommend going on to Dr. Gary Chapman's The 5 Love Languages and doing the 5 love language test and doing the attachment test before you go on a third or fourth date.
Oh, third or fourth date. So not the first one.
Well, because here's the thing. Most first dates rarely turn into a second date, and most second dates rarely get into a third date. If you get to about 10 dates, you're going to be in a relationship at that point. I mean, you're going to be, most likely exploring a relationship with one another. And that's certainly a good time to know if we speak the same language, or at least have an awareness. Again, 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman.
It's on Amazon.
And then Love Attachment Style. There's a book by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller, I believe. Or I get some of the other names mixed up. Those are 2 great books, and you can go to their websites to actually do a test. There's a quiz.
Test,
yeah, there's a free test.
I've done the free
What's your
test.
What's your
My
love language?
Service.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine's words.
Oh, okay.
By the way, I'm a Leo, so it's words of affirmation. We like to be affirmed.
Gotcha.
I can speak for myself.
Yeah, I like it.
But I'm going to get you can I get you something to drink? That's my service for you.
But let's just reset the room again. I'm not so sure how long we're going to be going today. I was waiting to see if we got any calls, but we're here with Jonathan Asley with What the Heck is Self-Love with Sway TV. Guys, if you're watching on another platform, go to
Charles has a question.
swaytv.com and come join us, please. Come join us, or look in the carousel. Get Jonathan's book. What's Charles's question?
Charles wrote in, I haven't had a relationship, but I had tons of rejection. Does that mean the first is not likely to end up in long term? Okay, so you've had tons of rejection. So I'm assuming that he hasn't gone on very many first dates. In other words, women aren't accepting him on a first date. Well, that certainly can be challenging, and most likely what's happening there is that your dating skills, your flirting skills, probably need some fine tuning. This is why, actually, one of my dear friends, Trip Advice, our mutual friend, Trip Advice, teaches men how to actually overcome those objections and rejections, and teaches men inner confidence, especially the shy guy, that inner confidence that he can walk up to anyone and actually get a date. Once we learn that it starts from within, Charles, I guarantee you, if you do that inner work, you'll attract much, much more women in your life.
And are you on dating apps? Are you trying? Are you going out, reaching out on dating apps?
I'm a big proponent of dating apps, only because right now there's no other place to meet people. Because when you think about it, how do we know someone is single and eligible, right? How do we know someone is single and eligible? I mean, unless we look at their Facebook page and it says single. But people aren't in our daily lives walking up with a sign saying, I'm willing to go out on a date with someone. So we need these portals like online dating sites or apps to just, remember we said meeting sites, not dating sites, meeting sites to connect with people.
That's awesome. And I think too, like, you just have to be careful. One of my best friends was on, I think it was Tinder, and then all of a sudden, like, they went on a few dates and she started asking him for Prada shoes, and I'm like, okay. She's like, if you want to go on another date.
Actually, so you want to know a really good way to get rid of somebody? Is ask to borrow like $10,000. I had a woman do that. It was a second date. We had a first date, and then the second date, she said, can I borrow some money from you?
Why?
She was hard up for money. And I'm like, that was a great way to end it with me, because I ain't giving it to you.
Wow.
So I started to say, if you really want to get someone quick away, just ask to borrow $10,000 or $25,000, and you'll never see them again.
But I think some guys...
that's a joke, by the way.
Yeah, no, but some guys, like one of my good friends, I won't say his name, because just in case he watches this, he'll get a little mad at me. But like, he would do these things where he would give these like women he went on a few dates with money or whatever, because he wanted them to like them. What do you think? Do you think that does that work?
So his reason for doing it now, and by the way, I was joking before, in that particular case, because it turned me off. But in this particular case, if someone is overgiving, remember I said a relationship is a two-way street.
Yeah.
If you're trying to give to get something from someone, it doesn't work. It never works to give to get. Give from a place of generosity. I'm a big proponent of people being generous, but I like, there's another relationship coach, Matthew Hussey, who I like, and he says, and he's great, and he says something, invest and test. Invest and test. And what he meant by that is you make a little bit of investment and see if they meet you. So it's okay to do something nice for a person. See if they also meet you by doing something nice. And here's the thing, a lot of men don't feel that inner confidence, so they have to buy and romance and do those things to sway a woman to like you. Here's what's going to make a man or woman like each other is when we start speaking from our heart-centered place. I'm a big proponent of really tapping into your self-love and speak from that place in your heart, because that's the real gold of liking someone.
How long do you think it takes to really establish that self-love?
A lifetime. No, seriously. I mean, we actually get full awareness like moments before we die. And I'm being tongue-in-cheek here for a second. Here's the thing. Either your problems have control of you, or you have control of your problems. I mean, and I don't like the word control or problems, but what I'm saying is either you allow your issues to direct your life, or you look at your issues and say, how do I want to direct my life? It's really a matter of perspective. So the minute you've made the awareness that I am in charge of my destiny, and I'm in charge of, and I don't mean it from the literal sense, like, I mean, we can say the law of attraction is I want $1 million. It's not going to show up on your doorstep, but the energy around that can happen, is being in abundance energy. When we recognize we are in charge of our emotional destiny, it can happen rather quickly.
Yeah, my thing is like auditions. Like
Okay.
I'm just so, every weekend I've been getting these like pages, like 20 pages to memorize, and it's just, you don't get paid for that. How do I find that excitement to do that work?
Okay, so, well, all right, so you have to love what you do. I'm assuming
Yeah.
you
Oh, I
well,
do.
first off, you love being an actress, right?
Yes, I love
okay.
it.
So part of being an actress is doing the hard stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
So here's the thing. If you're complaining about it, what the law of attraction is gonna give
Make
you
it
what?
really hard.
Yeah, it's gonna make it
worse.
really hard. So just say, here's the thing. Do you think, okay, pick a sport that you do.
I don't do sports.
Okay. Well, everybody knows what golf is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And everybody knows who Tiger Woods is, right?
Of course.
And at age 2, or at birth, he came out of the womb and he was hitting a golf club all day long. But he practiced and he practiced and he practiced and practiced. Matter of fact, you're from New York. What's the old saying? How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Oh, maybe you're a little too young for that. For those who are my generation, no, it's called practice, practice, practice. Like anything in life.
Gotcha.
Like to play the piano, you have to practice doing the keys. As kids, people probably hated to play the piano, doing the repetition over and over again. And it's the same with self-love. It's a repetitious process to do things, to work on the principles that I lay out in my book, doing it over and over again. You may not like it, but the byproduct is inner peace. Self-love is a vaccination to emotional chaos. And if your life is an emotional roller coaster, then you need more self-love in your life. At least that's my invitation anyway.
I love that. I love that. So guys, everyone should read his book for sure. You guys have Prime, make sure you go. You can go on our carousel, which is like right under this video. And if you're watching from another platform, just go to swaytv.com. You'll see us live on Amazon and
We have a
yeah.
question. Natasha wrote something.
Oh, what did Natasha say?
Okay, sorry. I was reading while you're talking.
Okay.
By the way, go to Amazon and check out my book and all the other books I recommend. So Natasha writes, can you do self-work while you are getting back out there? Or should you hold off dating until you're at a specific place on your self-work journey? All right, so this is a great question, Natasha, and the answer is yes. You can absolutely be in a relationship because, quite frankly, doing the self-love work on your own is one thing. We actually amplify the process of healing when we have someone else to work against, okay? It is through the interaction of other human beings. By the way, what's the saying? If you really want to, I'm thinking about family, right? When we're with family, can be the most annoying people in our lives, but that's a great place to practice the work, is with your family and with someone you're in relationship with. I'm just a big proponent of people both being intentional and both working on themselves at the same time. And you can absolutely do this in relationship. In fact, it's better when you have a partner to work with, provided they're an emotional grown-up and you share the same values and your lifestyles are blendable and you have chemistry with one another.
Wow, it's a hard thing to have all those things, I think.
All right, time out.
Okay. That's
All right.
not the law of attraction.
All right, so I want you to flip what you just said.
Yeah.
No, flip what you just said.
It's an easy thing to have one of those things.
Yes.
It's so easy.
So you simply by shifting our perspective, okay? Do you want to know what a true miracle is?
No, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a true miracle, right? A true miracle is a shift in perspective, shifting to love. So my podcast is called the What Would Love Do podcast. The idea is to look at everything. You can look at it from the eyes of love, or you can look at it from the eyes of fear. And I always say, what would love do? So how would love respond?
It would just love it stronger.
Exactly. So instead of saying it's hard out there, dating is hard, dating sucks, dating this, dating that, how about, you know what? The right guy is going to come at the perfect time, or the right woman is going to come at the perfect time, and just focus on that. What was the chapter in my book? Our thoughts create our feelings. So you have a choice.
Yeah.
You can choose those negative thoughts, but, you know, like Dr. Phil would say, how's that working for you?
Now, what about the people who are in relationships already, but they want to keep that spark there? Do you have any advice for that? Because I know there's a lot of moms on here.
To get that spark, you know what? There are great venues to learn how to do that. I mean, by the way, there's a great book by Barbara DeAngelis called "Getting the Love You Want" that's by Harvel Hendricks. Making Love All the Time by Barbara DeAngelis. That's a great book for getting the spark in your relationship. And I'm a big proponent of talking about these things together with your partner instead of focusing on the benign things or focusing on your Instagram page.
Yeah, because I know there's a lot of moms who watch us, because I mean, people are shopping on Amazon. I guess that's a lot of the audience. So
yeah.
So what about like if they have kids and they have to deal with a family life? How do they balance all that?
So balance is a really challenging aspect of one life, and I think people have to recognize that first it starts by taking care of oneself. In my book, I talk about this. What's the thing when you get on an airplane, the flight attendant says, in the case of cabin pressure change, oxygen mask will drop down, and if you're traveling with children, what do?
I don't know. Do you take care of yourself first?
Put yourself first, okay? So it starts with self-care, with self-love. Recognizing that everything in our life starts with self, not from a selfish place, but from a place of you can't be of service to others until you take care of yourself. And that includes creating balance in one life. And a lot of people do not create balance in their life, and it makes it difficult to be in relationship with people who don't know how to create balance in your life. Go to professionals that can help you with that. Go to a life coach that can help you with that, or go to a therapist. By the way, we have a question.
What's the question?
All right. Michael says, smart man, listen to him. Thank you. I really appreciate that, Michael. Speaking of religion, do you think if it is set up meeting such... Wait, please forgive me. I'm trying to read this.
Maybe this one?
No, I can read that better. Speaking of religion, do you think if it is set up meeting such as a dating app or blind date, stick with the same religion? It takes one potential issue off of the table. So, okay, that's a great question, and I think it was Michael who said that. So thank you. So religion to me is more a reflection of your values, okay? So again, if a person is very devout in their religion, it probably makes sense to date someone who's also devout in their religion. I mean, very devout in their religion. Now, some people might be of a certain religion, but but they're not devout in it. They don't go to church on a regular basis, or they don't have a Bible in their nightstand, or that, or Quran, or Torah, or whatever. So for those people, what's most important is your values. Okay, that's what religion tells us, is it really speaks to what our values, what are our most important values. By the way, everybody, you can Google list of values, and I think 421 things will come up, okay? 421 values. Most people don't even know their values off the top of their head.
Wow.
You know, we all think of values like honesty, integrity, and trust. Well, to me, that's like the first equation in geometry. That's called a given. Okay, that should be a given. But for example, some people value health, like I talked about in my book, Your Body is a Machine. That means probably someone who's a chain smoker and, you know, eats bonbons all day long isn't going to get along with me because they don't value health. So look at what's important to you on values. Now, let me give you a value where you don't have to be exact on. It's not about being the same. It's about leaning into where you are similar. So I'm ridiculously punctual. Punctuality is one of my top values. Now, in the dating realm, I would never get a first date in my life because I've yet to meet a woman who's ever been on time for a date. But I'm being silly. I don't expect that value for someone else, but knowing your values is important. And that's what I think religious speaks into, is what are your values? Another person writes something, by the way.
Oh, did we get another question?
Yeah, we got a couple.
Okay.
Hope I answered you, Michael. So do you think people worth working things out? Thomas says, okay, so here's the thing. Relationships can have friction. I mean, it's natural to have friction. In fact, conflict resolution is one of the most important skills in a relationship. When I talked about emotional maturity, remember when I said learning how to fight fair? Mm-hmm. Okay, what did I say? Listen to another person's point of view and accept their point of view as being true for them. When two people can do that together, they'll be able to resolve conflicts in a relationship. Ultimately, if you don't have the same values, you don't have blendable lifestyles, you don't have, emotional maturity, and if two people's needs are different, then you have to ask yourself, why do you even want to be in a relationship with that person? Mm-hmm. I don't know how many times I've had women call me up and say, Jonathan, I've just broken up with a guy. How do I get him back? And I said, were you guys friends? And they go, no, not really. I'm like, because everybody, you need to buy the book Attached by Amir Levine so you understand your attachment style. Yeah. And that book by Harvel Hendricks so you can learn why you're choosing people that are not right for you.
Gotta read that book. That's the one I gotta read next. So many books on my book list, but
we have another question.
The main one is self-love, guys. Resetting the room before we answer this question with Jonathan Asley, amazing YouTuber. You can go to his YouTube channel, subscribe to him. But first of all, in the carousel, you will see his book. Make sure you get it. You can get it for free with Amazon Prime, which is really cool on Kindle. So definitely get it. He's amazing and has the most amazing dating advice ever. And if you're on another platform, guys, go to swaytv.com. Find us live right now. Come support the show that we're doing here. Just come on it. And what was the question?
If you are just dating, like seeing a therapist. I don't get the question. Wait. First off, Michael writes, I feel friends first is important. What do you think about that? Love this question, Michael. So,
what about friend zone?
All right, well, you're cutting me off before I got to say this. So, one of my all-time favorite movies is When Harry Met Sally. Uh-huh. And, that's a perfect example of two people became friends who entered in a relationship. So usually let's going back to friend zone usually means I'm not attracted to you, but I like you as a person. That's what a friend zone means. What I'm talking about, building the friendship in relationship. And let me tell you how you build friendship in a relationship. We do not build friendship with our thumbs, everybody. It's impossible to do it with our thumbs. What I mean is incessant text messaging and incessant phone calls. 90% of communication is nonverbal. So everybody thinks all this communication with one another, we're building such a great relationship. True friendship is built through social activities, hobbies, mutual interest, and spending time with family and friends. That's how true friendship is built. It is through doing things together. And men fall in love through doing activities with a partner. Women fall in love by the way, this is not an absolute, but women tend to fall in love between their ears. So they get hyper attached to a guy that they've been texting for umpteen years. I had one woman say,
and they never met him, and he lives in Nigeria.
Oh my God! And they've been giving him money every week, thinking I've had this great relationship. I had a woman come on my podcast my YouTube channel the other day. She goes, I've been in a 6-month relationship with a guy, and I'm like, well, how often do you see each other? And she goes, oh, I haven't met him yet. Well, yes, you have a virtual relationship. I'm not here to promote virtual relationships, people. I'm here to promote face-to-face relationships. And it takes 100 hours of face-to-face time just to get to the first layer of getting to know someone. That's just layer number 1. It takes a minimum of 100 hours.
So how do you make someone fall in love with you? I didn't know you had secrets and
tips. Well, first off, so you never make someone fall in love with you. You should, by the way, our natural effervescence is what someone should fall in love with. And I'm being a little bit rhetorical here. Never make someone, if you have to make someone fall in love with you, it will never work out.
Well, no, but what are the things like women can do out there to be more attractive, to get that love?
So I think one of the things is, and I see this in my age demographic, is staying physically fit is one important thing. Being of a healthy mindset is another thing. Being being friendly and warm and kind. And remember I said before, I go out on dates with women and every guy that's ever hurt them is sitting behind them?
Yeah.
Well, that's, first off, heal those past wounds before you go out there. These are just a number of things one can do as they're out there. Because remember I said before, we literally have adopted, I need you to love me so I can feel good about myself. And I'm here to say, love yourself first and then give from your overflow, or at least begin the process of loving yourself first and give from the overflow instead of the give to get. How about just be a giver and choose another giver?
Oh, that's a
How
good
about
idea, yeah.
You know, and by the way,
I'm such a giver. That's
here's
what I want. I want a giver.
All right. And you probably don't choose men who are receivers. So it's one thing to give love. You also have to be able to receive love, and most humans deflect love.
Why do they do
I
that?
bet you give. You probably overgive.
Yes.
Then you go into martyr mode. Well, I gave so much in this relationship, and he never gave me anything, so I'm the martyr in this relationship, and I'm being tongue in cheek, but I see this time and time and time again. So two people, remember I said 2-lane street? It's two people who are givers and two people who are receivers.
Oh, so they have to be both.
Well, if you want a juicy, delicious, healthy relationship, if you want a mediocre relationship, do
Yeah.
what everybody else is doing.
How do you work on being a better receiver? Because I feel like I'm not a good receiver.
Okay, so you're beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, you said thank you. So that's a perfect example, is acknowledging, accepting what someone said and then acknowledging
But it makes me feel so awkward when I get compliments. Like,
why
is that?
I want you to actually do the opposite. I want you to receive that and say, wow, thank you. I really appreciate your kindness. I really appreciate that.
That's good.
So you then have to get to the root of why do you feel, most likely because you don't feel beautiful within yourself.
Oh, but I feel uncomfortable. I don't know. I just get like this uncomfortable.
Well, let's start switching it around. Stop. Okay. Remember the definition of insanity, so let's switch it around. How about I am comfortable with compliments? Say that out loud.
I am comfortable with compliments.
Okay. Now throw one my way now.
I am, give you a compliment?
Yes.
Oh, you have a nice smile.
Oh, thank you. I'm a Leo, so remember, I eat this up.
Now, how do you know, we're talking about self-love. How can you distinguish self-love from selfish?
I dated a woman who wrote a book, It's Time to Become Selfish. Okay, and what she meant was to love yourself, okay? Selfish is at the expense of someone else. Self-love is at the expense of nothing. You might have to make some compromises in your life to feel self-love, and compromise is simply a trade-off. So let me just say this. The trade-off might be, I have to spend money to go to this retreat and spend a couple $1,000s. It's a trade-off, but the reward will be there. When someone is selfish, it's usually at someone else's expense. Self-love is at nobody else's expense, maybe your pocketbook. Because you got to spend a few dollars to buy a book or something.
And what about unconditional love? Like, how do you give somebody unconditional love? Like, is that
I don't know if it's, well, I'm, okay, I think of my children. And as a parent, I give my child unconditional love. I don't think my children give me unconditional love. So I think there's some, like even with our pets, they tend to give us unconditional love. I'm looking at beautiful George over there. And so truthfully, in relationships do come with some sort of expectations, whether we like it or not, for the most part. It's not about unconditional love. It's about how can I be in my loving? How can I be in my loving? And that's what I would rather focus on that. How can I be in my loving? By the way, there is, Charles just wrote something.
What did he say?
He said, maybe it's because Lauren is flooded by compliments every day by thirsty men. So by the way, Charles, great point. So for someone who's getting tons of attention, that might feel uncomfortable. I'm talking about a genuine and sincere compliment. Take it in, receive it. It's okay. By the way, it's absolutely okay to receive. It's absolutely okay to receive. In fact, we need to be doing more of that, learning how to receive at the same time as being givers.
So how does coaching work with you? When do people call you up, like, you know?
So I've actually created a boot camp for my coaching program. It's called Shortcut to Mr. Right. It's a little cheesy. I say it because, you know, it's one of those, you know, like you have to have a sales page kind of thing. But my boot camp is I go through a re-education on relationships. First off, I have everyone, I work with women, mostly women, I do work with men. First, I have them describe their ideal relationship. Then they go through my proprietary workbooks, which includes, I teach you how to vet for emotionally mature men. And then I have women write their ideal relationship after the boot camp. And can you guess what happens every single time?
Is it different?
They say things like this. Why didn't they teach me this in school? Why didn't I learn this? Why didn't my parents teach me this? Why didn't I learn this 10 years ago before I dated that knucklehead? Okay, every woman who goes through my boot camp has a rebirth in the way they not only view relationships, but how they allow relationships into their lives. And my clients, it blows me away. They literally, the minute they make the investment in the program, great guys just start showing up. It's the law of attraction.
Yeah.
By the way, we do use law of attraction principles in my coaching. But the law of attraction means what energy you put out is the energy you will attract back in. So I get phone calls literally weeks after my coaching program. Jonathan, I met a great guy, and they know the difference. What they mean by great guy is someone who's aligned for them. Because they, in the past, the definition of insanity, choosing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And these are men that are attractive, that have their stuff together. These are women who are attractive, everybody's attractive, okay? They're attracted to each other is what I mean. And I'm just grateful that I'm in a business where I can create love. And I've been to so many weddings for my clients, and they get married, they get engaged, they live together, and I'm very blessed.
Well, we're going to wrap this up in 5 minutes. So guys, if you have any questions, girls, women, any questions, please leave it in the comments. We're just going to refresh this room right before we wrap it up. SwayTV.com. What the heck is self-love? From Jonathan Asley, also a very famous YouTuber, relationship expert. Really cool. I found him online, so that was awesome. And I'm just so excited to be here at SwayTV.com talking about this on the couch. This is the same couch that I shoot my How to Start podcast, which you can also find on Amazon. Promoting my Andy's in the background, laughing, laughing. You can also find that. But also, if you look in the carousel, you can find Jonathan's book. It's free if you have Amazon Prime, so make sure you check that out. And there's also a bunch of other books he suggested. Do you want to list any of those?
Yeah, a couple of the books are 8 Dates by Dr. John and Julie Gottman, Attached by Amir Levine, Getting the Love You Want by Harvel Hendricks, The 4 Agreements, what other book? Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel. I know I'm saying it really fast.
Yeah, it's just like so many books to read. So many books, but you're working on
Wait a minute, I want to
book.
show you my dating profile here for a second.
That sounds fun.
Okay, just to show you something.
Uh-huh.
Hey, hold on, I go to me.
Dating profiles.
Oh, shoot. Let's see if it pops up. Okay, so there's my, I want to, oh, it's not loading
there
here.
It is.
Okay, but I want
Great
you to
picture.
see, but I want you to see the end. So what is this?
Oh my God, all these books. I don't know if that's a little much.
Okay, so I've listed some of the books that I have read in my dating profile. Now, what does that say about a person? The books they read? Oh, here, you want me to do it this way? Okay, I don't know if you guys can see it. But what that says is, what a person reads tells you a lot about a person. By the way, I get a lot of compliments or comments because I've listed the books I read.
I think it's cool. I think that shows you're emotionally intelligent, right?
Yeah, and I even have my first book right there, Understand Men Now.
Did you put what? You don't have your own book?
No, this is an older picture. But I have pictures of my books in some of my other profiles.
Maybe we can show the guy, like talk to the guy, because there's a lot of guys watching. Let's tell them what do you put in your dating profile that helps you?
Oh, so my profile. You want me to read what it says?
Yeah.
All right. So first off, when you write a profile, think of it this way. Who's your audience? So who's my audience from a dating profile? A woman.
Women, yeah.
Okay, so it says, my soulmate is a conscious, empowered, inquisitive, and generous woman ready for real connection. Are you up for a deep, meaningful conversation and a slight warped sense of humor? I'm your guy. If you appreciate the spiritual experience of A Course in Miracles, we're a match. So I said a lot, but I'm speaking to my audience. So think of who you're speaking to when you write your profile.
Yeah, that sounds, and a lot of women are searching for their soulmate. So the fact that you put that in the
I'm
first
using all those
sentence.
keywords. You know, as us who are YouTubers have to put in keywords. So use those keywords when you're writing your profile.
That's really smart. Now, in terms of pictures, what kind of pictures did you put there?
So my pictures are all quality photographs, and what I mean by quality, that they're crystal clear. You can see my
like a
face.
professional photo,
Well, that
yeah.
one's a professional. Well, actually, that's a professional photo.
Yeah.
But that's
You look like an actor. You with a dog.
me and a dog. Oh, I guess. Okay, we'll go back. Here's my first photo. Everyone can see that. What's most important, by the way, no sunglasses, no out of focus, no sushi plate you ate the night before, no pictures of the Eiffel Tower by itself, okay? I know we can put our finger on it, that's great. But my point is, most crystal clear photographs, no sunglasses, unless it's a body shot. You're allowed one sunglass shot if it's a body shot. For men, we need to see your body, okay? By the way, both genders, we need to see our face and our body. And crystal clear shots.
Yeah, one thing I really don't like is when a guy has like pictures on a safari or something. I've seen that a lot. There's like they're on a safari. It's like, oh look, or like with like, you know, them doing like community service. It's like, oh look, here's me and these like poor hungry children. And I'm just like, do you really like?
Yeah, just, you know what? It's most important, just great photos of yourself. You don't need to express my personality. You know, some people have these ridiculous photographs. I'm like, look, you could be a gorgeous person. I can't tell, okay? Because you have a lame pictures there, or you have, like I said, the sushi plate. I'm like, really? All right, I get you like sushi. Just tell me that when you want to go out on the date instead of putting it as a picture.
Gotcha. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed all of this advice, all these tips. Jonathan, you're amazing. I want to have you on again. This is like, I'm just going to call you up. I have so many more questions.
I'd come every Sunday and hang out with you.
I could talk I could ask you hours and hours of relationship advice questions. There's still more. And guys, if there's any more, I'm sure if you write him on Instagram or his YouTube, he will answer them. He's so cool. And special shout out to swaytv.com. Guys,
Yes.
make sure you follow them everywhere. And do me a favor, support the show by going into the carousel and checking out what we have. Go into the carousel, find self-love. Oh wait, where's the book?
Oh, there's my book.
Yeah.
What the heck is self-love anyway?
What the heck is self-love anyway? You can actually get it for free on your Kindle device if you want to get it for free. Make sure you follow Sway TV everywhere and tell them to have us come back and do some more relationship advice.
I would love it.
Yeah, and
you're fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. Yo, you are too, Jonathan. So cool to meet you. See, guys, you can find people on social media and they can end up being really, really cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, I love you so much. Gonna wrap this show up. I'm not sure. We were thinking about doing a workout later. We might. I don't. Well, I got to talk to the Wizard of Oz. But but I love you guys. Thanks for watching and good luck in your relationship and your love. Make sure you give yourself lots of self-love and read his book. Do it.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys follow Sway TV. Follow Sway right here. Ooh, it's this way, sorry. Corey says, thank you, Sway TV. Shakira says, thank you, Sway. Yes, guys, it is so much fun. We love Sway TV.
We're here all the time streaming live. We're sharing great products. We're doing great interviews and amazing giveaways.
Amazon, we love you, Amazon.
So grateful for you guys and for Sway TV.
I've had such a great time with all of you.
Shop attainment all the time.
It is a girl's dream come true for someone like me to be able to give you dating advice and shopping all in one platform.
Amazon Live! Woo! Let's sway!
Let's sway. Let's sway. Let's sway.
Let's sway. Let's sway.
Let's sway!
Let's sway. Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway!
Let's sway. Let's sway. Let's sway.
Let's go. Let's sway. Woo!